The type of things that as a mayor you don't sleep well with is when you hear about a young lady that is trying to get into treatment and was in such mental health distress that she actually went to Ridge Meadows Hospital and she tried to check into the psych ward, and she said, I need to end this. I can't do this anymore. If you don't help me, I'm going to kill myself. And she was turned loose by the hospital, and the next day she walked into a train. That's the kind of stuff as a mayor that you can't get out of your head, that tells you that the systems aren't working for people.
Box of tissues near the bed. Swollen eyes are tired and
It's just one of many.
Crimson roses in a vase. Salty tears, the only taste. Alone, grieving in the night. Tell myself I'm gonna be alright. Hold on to hope. Breathe loving thoughts and take it slow.
It was the first modular housing complex that they pushed through using a cabinet order, put it next to 2 seniors facilities, and said, oh no, it's only going to be temporary to house people from the camp, 52 people. It has crime numbers through the roof. It just absolute mayhem on the neighborhood. It reduced the value of the new apartments that were being built across the way from about $575 a foot down to $375. It was just a big number. It's still running today. It was supposed to be temporary. They executed a cabinet order to move it because they didn't like our plan, which was a really viable plan on how to deal with it. We were given 2 weeks notice to say, yeah, well, no, we're going to do this, but if you got other ideas, then we'll hear them. The government uses the term wraparound supports. There were none. We knew that was the case, and they would use, outreach workers or health workers going into these facilities. Well, they couldn't even keep health workers employed going in there because it was too dangerous. They just quit and they had to get new ones all the time because these facilities are just simply too dangerous. Well, the alternative to that is professionally run treatment centers, which is exactly what my council wanted to provide with free land. And we offered that as part of the plan. And they said they were going to go ahead with it and fund it. And then halfway through the process under Eby's watch, just got pulled. Said nope.
Salty tears, the only taste. Alone.
We were given a cabinet order to that they had to go ahead and rebuild it right away. Well, it's been coming on 4 years, still not built, the replacement facility. So we were told that it had to be done immediately, and that the building's it's a temporary structure that's only supposed to be in service for 3 years. Well, we know that modular housing actually can last longer if it's maintained, but maintaining buildings with client base like this is incredibly difficult. This started construction before this was implemented. Seniors building on the other side too that just got pulled out. Originally there was a camp just down the street from here that we went and got an injunction to have removed. And by the operator's report, which I'm now going to cite to you, this was issued by Coast Mental Health to David Eby, housing minister back in the day. And it brings to light certain things. Staff within this facility have post numbers, workers' compensation, WorkSafe BC claims, 444 WorkSafe claims in 1 year for staff being off work because of violent acts and reasons that they would not be able to attend to work. This report also talks about the type of things that staff in these sites are dealing with, and it basically is a plea to the provincial government to assist them because they're unable to deal with the type of things here. On a regular basis, staff are asked to de-escalate aggressive and violent behaviors exhibited by tenants. There are recent trends that indicate a high level of concern with drug dealers and gang members who are threatening tenants in an effort to access buildings with the intention of physically harming tenants that either owe them money or are trying to leave the drug culture. Over the past 12 months, we've observed significant increase in staff sick leave due to trauma caused by client overdoses, violence, and threats. WorkSafe claims from Coast Mental Health staff total 719 sick days. In addition to these, there are 929 sick days taken off by staff. Coast Mental Health, by their numbers, have one person in a year that was able to complete treatment in order to move forward. But what I want to tell you about is that 22 people died in this building in 1 year. And it was raised by us to Minister Eby to advise him that this was the case and that I had 12 primary reports from clients that were here as to why this had taken place and what the cause was. So of the 22 that I know of, half of them died from overdose and half of them died from medical complications. When you're co-locating people that have got a variety of different challenges here, you're going to require some professional support, and there was none here. It's clear from this report here that these clients' needs were unable to be met by the operator. David Eby ordered a third-party review. That third-party review terms of reference was set by BC Housing, which did not include consultation with the coroner. And when the third-party reviewer came out, they only looked to what improvements they needed to make to the building, but no accountability whatsoever on the fact that people had died here. I think 22 families are owed an explanation as to why this happened and what the government intended to do about it. The report's outcomes were clear that they needed a new building, which is what they're going to get, but not necessarily any professional help to provide healthier pathways for people to get better. I pursued this with the coroner's office and find out that only 15% of overdose deaths are investigated. That's not the case in most provinces in our country, but in British Columbia, that's the case. We'd have to wonder why that is. And yet this report from Coast Mental Health cites overdose death numbers via the coroner's office. Well, if they're only investigating 15% of them, what are the real numbers? We don't know. And government needs to account for why they don't investigate all deaths for people that die in their care. Because to me, if that was my kid, I'd want some accounting on this. And 22 families in 1 year are still overdue some accounting from David Eby. I went further from there to the ombudsperson's office, and they told me that they could not investigate this. And they told me that their policy wouldn't allow for it, that it had to be a family member. And further, that if I wanted a systemic review for the entire supportive housing model, such that it is, that the ombudsperson's office would not be able to conduct that. And let's be clear here, this model is implemented throughout British Columbia. You take a deep dive into all the communities around BC, this is going on everywhere from Grand Forks to Victoria to Prince George. And now, further to that, we've doubled down under David Eby's direction with decriminalization and safe supply, where you can go online and order drugs on a portal and have them delivered to you in a couple of days. And you can order harm reduction supplies and have those delivered too. Ordinarily, in the old political world, people would resign over these kind of egregious acts. So I'm calling on the public in British Columbia to fire David Eby and his reckless policies, and to put a BC Conservative government in that will turn this around so that we can build great communities with the economies that we need to support great social services like healthcare, housing that's actually viable to build, so that everybody can be healthy and well and afford to have a home, and that we can be safe in our communities. We've got projects canceled down in below here that weren't too far down the system because of this modular housing complex that's being built here right now. 4 years, but that's what the cabinet order says. Oh no, we need to do this right away. We got to do this right away. Yeah, this is government for you. And I can tell you something, this will come in at triple, if not quadruple budget than the location that we gave them on a plate 4 years ago. We said, you go ahead and build it today. Today. We will waive everything. You can go ahead and build it. And we're going to give you $2 million. $2 million. Salvation Army said, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it for you. We care about people. We'll do it. David Eby doesn't care about anybody. He just cares about getting his ideals. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, those are $250,000 a piece, all bundled together. I mean, this whole area is all scheduled, all the way down to the river, of course. It's all scheduled for redevelopment. That's what you're doing, right? You're trying to build infrastructure around a downtown core so that people can live and work and play close by. Here's the replacement building. It's been 4 years after a cabinet order was issued that it had to be done on an expedited basis, and they wanted to construct immediately. And here we are 4 years later, and it's finally going to be finished. Same model, same operator, same problems. You can see it's quite a nice looking building. It will be when it's finished, I'm sure. But the thing is that there's no real change here in the model. And the same things that I referenced that the operator did in the report will continue on here. But if you don't believe the operator's report, here's the testimony of a paramedic that attends modular housing throughout the Lower Mainland. I've been to many SROs and supportive housing in Maple Ridge, Langley, Surrey, Coquitlam, and Port Coquitlam. They are all the same. The rooms are new, but they become disgusting very shortly after residents move in. If there is any support here, I don't see it. The entrances to these buildings have residents doing drugs at the front door. We literally, as frontline responder paramedics, have to walk through wafts of fentanyl and crack smoke. They also do drugs in their rooms alone. That is most of the calls. The other part of our calls is infection. Most infections are not being treated by health professionals. I just had a patient who I attended to that was infected and ravaged by maggots. Now, you think this is just one-off report from a paramedic? I have personal experience with this as well. There are many individuals that are struggling with infection that is propagating throughout these buildings. That's half of the reason why 22 people died in Royal Crescent Modular Housing in 1 year. I see it's gone. Anyways, this is all fenced off, and this is just a den of iniquity all around here down these streets. This house is breached. You can still see the product of it right from the camp days. Look at it. See this house? This was breached all the time. The doctor's office next door that ran a clinic, they bailed and they said, no, we're out of here too. This is the deleterious effects of drugs and homelessness. It doesn't exactly go to build great community, does it?
It's safe to cry. Try to
Now, that corner is our 222nd. Now, there's a laneway that goes down the back here. You can see it by those gates. Okay. That's a full lane. And then here is Cliff Avenue, which was the site of our very first camp that we had, which moved down the street to St. Anne. So you can see here from this site, it was our proposal that we were asked, we were given 2 weeks to find an alternate site for the Royal Crescent Modular Housing project, was to take this particular piece of property, wrap in the laneway and the roadway, take out the 2 pieces of property, and the Salvation Army were going to help us with a $2 million contribution to buy up the property needed, and to rebuild all of this in 3 phases and face it back in to Cliff Avenue, which is all under redevelopment as we speak. This project was turned down by the provincial government as not viable to be done on an expedited basis. Well, this land is absolutely flat. We had a willing operator to take this on. We had $2 million of extra money in the bag for the government. This model doesn't fit David Eby's ideal of today, which is nothing more than just harm reduction. And we wanted to try and help people get better and try and start to get our neighborhoods back and get our streets safe. This was turned down as an option, as unviable. Well, as you can see here, nothing's happened. There's been no development, and the Salian still doesn't have a new building, which is rotten. And there are at least 70 or 80 people residing in that small building over there. And that building needs to be replaced. And we knew it, and the province of British Columbia knows it.
Hold on to hope. Breathe loving thoughts and take it slow. It's safe to cry. Try to understand the haunting why. Hold on.